Hello, my name is Marcus Davis, and I am presenting the evidence-based intervention model, Keeping Foster and Kin Parents Trained and Supported, also known simply as KEEP. According to an article on foster care placement and breakdown on preventionaction.org, a website reporting on innovation and effectiveness among programs for improving child's health and development, quote, "Children with a history of foster placement breakdown are twice as likely to develop behavioral problems as those whose early experiences of fostering have been stable, but, from another angle, children who already have behavioral problems when they enter foster care are highly likely to experience placement breakdown. This downward spiral of cause and consequence is not only dejecting for the children and families involved, but also costly for child welfare agencies and worrying for caseworkers, child welfare administrators, and healthcare providers. Keeping Foster and Kin Parents Trained and Supported, or KEEP, is a treatment intervention model developed by Dr. Patricia Chamberlain and her colleagues in the early part of the last decade. The KEEP model is a version of the multidimensional treatment foster care model, or MTFC, which itself is based on the parent management training approach, known as PMT. Most states have mandates requiring foster and kinship parents to participate in training to help prepare them and further develop their parenting skills. While decades of study and data back up the successes of these types of treatment interventions for permanent adoptive parents, there was almost no data demonstrating the effectiveness of parent management training for foster and kinship parents. This is where KEEP comes in. The reasons for developing this intervention are twofold. First, in response to the lack of clinical trials supporting any effectiveness of PMT being carried out in agency settings with foster and kinship parents, research scientists Drs. Patricia Chamberlain, Joseph Price, John Reed, and John Landsverk set out to develop an experimental trial that would test the success of their MTFC model on improving child behavior outcomes and strengthening parenting skills. In designing and developing this clinical trial, the researchers ended up creating and testing the implementation and effectiveness of what would become the KEEP model. The other reason that led to development of the KEEP intervention has its roots in how the multidimensional treatment foster care and parent management training treatment methods are rolled out or implemented across agency settings. MTFC has proven successful as a high-intensity intervention being used as a family-based alternative to group or residential care settings, but instituting the MTFC model requires a highly qualified intensive team of child welfare specialists, such as doctors and psychologists, to administer the program and monitor the outcomes. This is costly and requires teams of personnel and time and financial resources that most every social service agency does not have. So the authors of the KEEP model set out to find the best, most cost-effective, and efficient way to implement their MTFC model, while making sure that those social service professionals who would lead the program maintained fidelity to the original parameters of the KEEP program. Dr. Chamberlain and her associates designed a version of their multidimensional treatment foster care model that could be led by trained paraprofessionals, and so the program's authors embarked on several clinical trials to determine the effectiveness of the intervention and the best way to train the trainers that would end up administering the program across different agency settings. The most well-known study testing this intervention was a collaborative effort between researchers at the Oregon Social Learning Center, the Child and Adolescent Services Research Center, and the County of San Diego Health and Human Services Agency. Ultimately, there were several goals of the clinical trials and the KEEP intervention model that developed as a result. 1. Increase the parenting skills of foster and kinship parents. 2. Improve child outcomes. 3. Decrease the number of placement disruptions. And 4. Increase the number of positive placement changes, such as reunification and adoption. Designed by the team of research scientists from the Oregon Social Learning Center in Eugene and specialists from the Child and Adolescent Services Research Center, and funded by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Children's Bureau, a small initial experiment was conducted in several Oregon counties in the late 1990s. Data revealed that parents who had participated in the KEEP groups had fewer placement breakdowns, had children with lower levels of behavioral and emotional problems, and provided foster care for a longer period of time versus the control group that received just the usual services. Based on the success of this initial trial, Dr. Chamberlain and her team sought to test the design on a much larger scale in a real-world application setting. Funded by a grant from the National Institute of Mental Health, the team approached the Health and Human Services Agency in San Diego County, California, and embarked on the new clinical randomized controlled trial, or RCT, with 700 foster and kinship families from 1999 to 2005. To date, there has been a large body of research and commentary written by the authors and other professionals citing the data, outcomes, findings, and conclusions derived from this one study. The results of the San Diego study were clear, convincing, and conclusive. The KEEP intervention model that originated from the multidimensional treatment foster care model, drawing on parent management training, had proven its ability to be adopted as a low-intensity, cost-effective alternative to MTFC. Public feasibility and viability studies in counties and states across the U.S., as well as Europe, have documented the tax dollar savings of administering interventions like KEEP that are based on the MTFC model. The relevance of the clinical trials and the resulting successful portability of the KEEP intervention model are due in large part to several important factors the program's authors intentionally and proactively considered when designing the initial clinical trials. The Oregon Social Learning Center and the Child and Adolescent Services Research Center have a long history of partnership in researching, developing, and testing child welfare interventions, including MTFC and PMT. Development of the KEEP model was a continuation of this partnership. Together, the study's investigators sought the input of the San Diego Health and Human Services Agency Director of Child Welfare and the Deputy Director of Policy and Planning regarding the study's goals and content. HHS staff, casework supervisors, foster parent associations, and foster parents were consulted as well throughout the development phase. Along the way, multiple recommendations were made by the various groups and individuals involved, and their comments and suggestions were incorporated into the development of the model. In consideration of one of the most important aspects of applying the principles of social work to real-world practice, the study's investigators wanted to develop an intervention that was culturally relevant to the community test population they were serving during this experiment. Because of the high Latino and African American population in the study, the researchers organized focus groups composed of kinship and foster parents to provide feedback before and throughout the duration of the study. These groups provided a wealth of information regarding appropriate use of language and cultural appropriateness of the procedures and materials, and these suggestions helped the designers modify the intervention. The following is a demonstration and explanation of the KEEP model. Foster and kinship parents can either be self-referred or referred to the program by a social worker. The program duration is 16 weeks and comprises groups of 7 to 10 foster and kinship parents of foster children from 5 to 12 years old who display behavior problems in foster placement. Newer versions of the KEEP program are being developed for other age ranges, such as KEEP P for preschool-aged foster children, and one for adolescents and teenagers, and these are currently in clinical trials. The parents meet once a week for 90 minutes in groups that are co-led by 2 facilitators who are either trained directly by the original KEEP implementation team or by local agency trainees who have been supervised and certified by the KEEP implementation team to train others in their local communities. Facilitators in the clinical trial were paraprofessionals who had no prior experience with behavior management or with other parent-mediated interventions. Rather, experience with group settings, interpersonal skills, motivation, and knowledge of children were given high priority in selecting the facilitators and co-facilitators. The initial facilitator training on the curriculum takes place during a 5-day session. The meeting locations for the group sessions can be held across a variety of settings like community centers, schools or churches, to home settings, and at times convenient to the members of the group. Licensed childcare is available, and snacks and refreshments are provided to the parents. The weekly group sessions are presented in an informal atmosphere and are participatory, fun, and interactive, and are intentionally not presented in a lecture or seminar format. An initial home visit is conducted by the group's co-leaders to meet with each family and discuss group meeting times, locations, and any child care needs. At this time, standardized testing is also completed that will be used to tailor curriculum for the future group meetings, and also to establish behavioral baseline data against which the researchers will later measure progress during and after the program. If any parent misses the weekly group meeting, a home visit is scheduled to make up that week and catch the parent up on the week's curriculum. The clinical trials reported an average missed session rate of 20% during the 16-week program. Facilitators phoned parents weekly to help individualize the curriculum, provide additional support, address questions parents may have felt uncomfortable asking in a group setting, and collect information on the child's behavior. According to Dr. Peter Sprengelmeyer, one of the intervention's original developers and the current lead on the implementation team, the goals of KEEP, based on the aims of the original clinical trials, are to promote the idea that foster parents can serve as key agents of change for children, strengthen foster parents' confidence and skills so they can change their child's behaviors, help foster parents use effective parent management strategies and provide them with the support to do so, and increase short and long-term positive child outcomes in multiple domains and settings, such as homes, schools, and with peers. To achieve this, the KEEP program teaches foster and kin parents a variety of skills. The important role they play in improving the life circumstances of foster children in their placement, strategies for encouraging positive child behavior, effective methods for setting limits, strategies for managing difficult child behaviors and avoiding power struggles, promoting children's success at school, encouraging positive peer relations, and strategies for managing the stress of being a foster parent. Each week, specific behavior management strategies are presented on a DVD. The KEEP principles are also visually displayed in the room during each session. Parents then learn and practice these strategies through group discussions and exercises. There are many opportunities to practice these new skills through role play and assigned homework practice. The weekly chapters are Foster Parents as Teachers, The Importance of Cooperation, Foster Parents as Teachers Teaching New Behaviors, Using Charts and Incentives, Setting Limits, Discipline Strategies, Balancing Encouragement and Limit Setting, Avoiding Power Struggles, Pre-Teaching, Super Tough Behaviors, Promoting School Success and Positive Peer Relations, Supporting the child's contact with the biological system, and Stress Management. Foster parents are taught to use the 4-to-1 rule, where they encourage and use positive reinforcement at least 4 times for every 1 time they have to correct or discipline the child. The parenting skills taught in the KEEP program focus on the primary use of non-harsh discipline methods to correct unwanted behavior, decreasing the stress of the parent, and increasing positive behavior outcomes for the child. Outside of the weekly meeting, a 31-item Parent Daily Report, or PDR, is one of the main tools used to help foster and kin parents track successes and setbacks. The parent uses the PDR to track the frequency of difficult child behaviors occurring throughout the week and the level of related stress on the parent, and they also record a daily grade, which helps track progress throughout the program. In addition to the weekly meetings and the parent daily report, the third leg of the program consists of a weekly phone call that co-facilitators hold to check in with each of the parents. This call serves two functions. First, the leaders collect data from the PDR and the parent about any specific issues that week, and they use this information to tailor the next group session to address those behavior issues. Second, many parents reported that the weekly phone call check-in made them feel supported and valued, often when they needed it the most. Co-leaders are also available to meet with the parents after the weekly meeting to discuss any issues at greater length. In the clinical trials, a part of the program that was consistently rated very helpful by the foster parents was that they are also reimbursed $15 per group session as a stipend to cover costs of travel. Foster parents also received credit toward their yearly licensing requirement for attending the 16 parenting sessions. I spent a lot of time up front discussing not only the social problem addressed by the KEEP intervention, but I also went into great detail about how the intervention was created, organically, through development of the several clinical trials early on that aimed to test this new low-intensity intervention as an alternative to the author's original MTFC intervention model. Dr. Chamberlain and her fellow researchers were looking to design a model that could stretch out from the high-intensity, high-cost MTFC to be available in social work agencies for a much lower financial investment, requiring fewer professionals to implement the program locally, and with the ability to train and certify successive generations of co-facilitators that could carry on the model in their agency down the line, while remaining true to the requirements of the program, ensuring that successful results can be replicated in agency settings again and again. The 6-year clinical trial from 1999 to 2005 culminated in mountains of data with findings that demonstrated the effectiveness of this experimental intervention in an actual agency setting in San Diego County, California. Here are the main points of that data. Of the sessions, 20.3% were conducted for individual foster or kin parents in their homes, while 79.7% were conducted in the group setting. Analysis of attendance rates was encouraging. 81% of the foster parents completed 75% or more of the group sessions, that's 12 or more, and 75% of the foster parents completed 88% of the group sessions, that's 14 or more. Parent daily report data was collected in a brief telephone interview weekly, and this method has been shown to correlate with in-home behavioral observations and with long-term outcomes such as arrests and placement disruptions. In this study, PDR data were collected from foster and kin parents for 3 days at baseline, or the start, and 3 days at treatment termination. No differences existed between the behavior rates reported by intervention parents and those reported by control parents at baseline. At treatment termination, however, foster and kin parents in the KEEP intervention condition reported significantly fewer child behavior problems than those in the control condition. In addition, these changes in child behavior were found to be mediated by changes in parenting behavior. At the 5-month interview post-baseline, foster parents who participated in the KEEP groups showed an increase in the proportion of positive reinforcements relative to disciplined parenting practices, and this increase predicted a decrease in child problem behaviors. Children of parents in the KEEP group were also found to have higher rates of reunification with biological or adoptive families and fewer placement disruptions than those in the control condition. Based on this resulting data, I think the KEEP intervention can clearly be successful in helping both foster children and their foster and kin parents have better placement experiences, decreasing disruptions in those placements, and increasing the foster child's chance of reunification or permanent adoption. The KEEP model continues to undergo implementation, testing, and further clinical trials. There are several trials underway being funded by the National Institute of Mental Health to study various ancillary effects of the intervention. For example, does the program's effects extend to other foster children in the participants' care? Does the effect of training extend down the line to new foster children after the program termination? Can KEEP be applied to other age ranges, such as preschoolers, and how to incorporate brain science into training parents of these younger-aged foster children? There are also a wide range of doctoral theses studying the data of the KEEP trials. The KEEP intervention has been implemented and is currently being used in multiple cities around the country and overseas. Sites listed are Oregon, Washington, California, Maryland, and in the UK and Sweden. New implementation is being considered at other sites as well, including New York City, in conjunction with the New York City Administration for Children's Services and multiple nonprofit organizations in that community. This New York City partnership gives a demonstration of the evaluation and stringent requirements of adherence to the original program design. This partnership was conducted by KEEP's main author, Dr. Patty Chamberlain, and the head of the KEEP implementation team at the OSLC Community Programs, Dr. Peter Sprengelmeyer, and shows the effectiveness and positive results of the collaboration in their child welfare system. Essentially, any implementation of the KEEP program is administered by the KEEP implementation team, which is managed by the Oregon Social Learning Center Community Programs Group, headed by Dr. Peter Sprengelmeyer. Agency staff are trained by this implementation team, and all group sessions are videotaped and streamed back to the KEEP staff for observation and feedback using a secure website. The parent daily reports, as well as ratings directly from the foster and kin parents, are submitted using the secure website. Certification as KEEP facilitator requires completion of a minimum of 3 video-supervised 16 weeks programs and minimum satisfactory ratings by the KEEP implementation team, as well as confidentially submitted ratings from the foster and kin parents. Once certified, a facilitator can then train new facilitators, and the KEEP implementation team simply requires occasional recorded video sessions to be submitted at random for observation and ensuring continuing fidelity to the program. The implementation package includes complete organizational setup, 5-day training for the co-facilitators, and weekly consultation throughout the implementation of the entire 16-week program for each of 3 different sets of trainees. The consultant is on site for each training, and the co-facilitators take turns practicing the presentation of different sections of the training. In addition, it includes a fidelity review and certification of that individual team following the completion of the 3 16-week groups. The final consideration is the sticker price, the cost to agency budgets, which is funded by the taxpayer dime. Considering the incredible hand-holding the KEEP team offers throughout the implementation phase, which is designed to ensure the fidelity and therefore the success of the program, there is a significant cost involved to get the program off the ground. There are multiple pricing options based on specific agency needs, but the basic package to contract their services and implement the KEEP model, train facilitators, and receive the video feedback for several years is approximately $40,000. In researching KEEP online, I found numerous presentations and case studies, including the New York City partnership from large metropolitan child welfare services agencies studying the cost effectiveness of implementing the program in their area and the resulting benefits to the greater community. Based on all of this supporting information, I do believe that the KEEP intervention model is a program that would be a positive addition to any social work child welfare agency that deals in a large population of foster placements in their care. Considering the greater social problems that foster care placement breakdowns result in, including the cyclically increasing damage with subsequent placement due to behavior problems, we, as citizens and social workers, owe it to ourselves to do something to stop that cycle and reform the current foster care system and how we handle these clients struggling with behavioral issues. Several foster and adoptive parents and child welfare professionals I interviewed here in South Florida all agreed that the program sounded great, but they would need more comprehensive information, mostly about the specific costs and time to implement the program, how that would affect county and state social services budgets, and so on. The foster and adoptive parents specifically also wanted to know what the incentives would be for foster and kin parents to become involved, if there would be anything special above and beyond the small cash stipend to reimburse travel costs. Overall, I'm excited about the KEEP model and its proven successes. I'll leave you with these final notes about the program from the England Department of Education. In the long term, it is expected that the child will experience increased placement stability, either with his or her foster family or biological parents. The child's behavior will continue to improve over time. There will be improved communication between the child's school and the foster parents, meaning increased educational stability. There will be a cash savings for the local authority, since fewer foster care placements should substantially reduce local authority costs, and the foster parents will experience greater satisfaction in their role and be better able to meet the needs of future foster children. For more information, you can contact Dr. Peter Sprengelmeyer or his assistant Courtney Paget at the OSLC, and I do thank you for participating in and watching my presentation.